So this is where it all started, at Terry Simpson's property at Winjallok near St Arnaud. In 1986, Landcare was officially launched. Winjallok was the first Landcare group to form, and now we have over 3,000 Landcare groups across Australia.
Today, Landcare has grown to become a mighty force for positive environmental change. It brings together farmers, lifestylers and urban folk, all united in their desire to care for and repair our country, the land, the waterways and the plants and animals. This story showcases the strengths and achievements of Landcare and the committed communities in our region, North Central, the birthplace of Landcare.
It was announced, it was announced that the Landcare launch was going to be here. As far as I was concerned, this was a totally appropriate place for it to be launched. You know, there was community action and there was quite a lot of land restoration issues or land issues involved. It wasn't just a single issue thing, and it worked.
Landcare, it certainly has worked here. Our challenges include soil erosion, salinity, loss of biodiversity and wildlife habitat, weed infestation, pest animals such as rabbits and foxes, and a legacy of land degradation from the days of the gold rush. And recently, the region has been grappling with the longest drought in living memory. But the Landcare ethic is stronger than ever. We have the enthusiasm, the people power, and the projects. Last year, our second-generation Landcare grants funded close to 100 projects involving more than 50 groups. In 1 year, over 1,800 volunteers revegetated 890 hectares with trees, shrubs and native grasses. They rehabilitated 40 kilometres of our precious waterways and won countless battles with weeds across more than 40,000 hectares. Our Landcare groups also played a lead role in regional drought recovery projects. But our volunteers can't do it all on their own. Our 8 Landcare coordinators are the unsung heroes. They support the planning and delivery of on-ground works and develop our community's skills and capacities. The model for Landcare support in the North Central region is quite special. Our coordinators are based in Shire offices and the North Central Catchment Management Authority funds them in partnership with 12 local councils. It's a system that works well and our communities really appreciate it.
I think the Shire-based model of Landcare support is very powerful in that it provides the maximum assistance to a huge number of groups with minimum input in terms of coordinators itself. We seem to be able to work quite streamlined, but in the way we work, the groups actually develop quite a lot of strengths in their own right.
The Wychitella Community Landcare Group, in common with many other groups, formed to tackle a specific problem. In Wychitella's case, it is the prickly weed problem of wheel cactus, which thrives on the local hilltops, including here at Mount Buckrabaniel.
It is aggressive, survives all conditions, loves the granite hills, seems to like the drought conditions, it thrives and it will just take over the land.
There used to be rabbits on the mount and they used to eat the little ones when they came, but now they've got rid of the rabbits. These are just thriving.
Sometimes it takes just one person to motivate a whole community. Inspiration for this group came when one woman, Beth Crutch, decided to act.
I started back in 2001 because we had a big patch on our own place and I got rid of that, and then we cleaned up all the roads. And we used to go around every year, once a year, and clean up all the roads. And last year we decided, Janet and Joy and I, that we would make a determined effort, and away we went. And the three of us started cleaning up lots of paddocks, and we got the landholders encouraged, and we did 2,500 acres of ground. And now this year we've really started on the mountain.
It's hard work on the difficult hilly terrain, but persistence is paying off. The local football clubs have joined in the effort, and the wider community turns out in force for special cactus busting days. Loddon Shire Landcare Coordinator Trevor Barker has been a tireless worker for the cause, and valuable project funding has come from second-generation Landcare grants, North Central CMA drought recovery grants, and the National Heritage Trust. And every Tuesday...
It's a Tuesday Ladies Cactus Group. We started that about a month ago and got ladies interested, and they quite enjoy it, and it's amazing who wants to come. And it's a bit of fresh air and exercise and a bit of a chat. And we always have morning tea and then go home for lunch.
So far, 2,000 hectares of wheel cactus has been eradicated. And this year the group was recognised for its efforts when it won the Victorian Weed Busters Award. The Salisbury West Landcare Group, close to the Laden River, has been going for 12 years. In that time, members have been involved in protecting the river, revegetation, stock containment, farm forestry and, like Wychitella, weed control. But this committed outfit recently took on quite a different project, rehabilitating the Bizzard Swamp wetland at Powlett Plains.
The main aim of this particular project was to fence off and preserve and enhance the flora and fauna of this particular Bizzard Swamp here in Powlett. And as a byproduct of that, we discovered it's also a rich Aboriginal heritage site, and that's been a real bonus. And so I think it's a win-win situation for our group and the community.
Funding for this project was accessed through EnviroFund, and information about the Indigenous history has been documented with the help of a local Aboriginal elder.
Yes, we've become aware after we started studying the ecological aspect of the swamp that it actually was an important meeting ground for Aborigines in this area. And we got the assistance of Uncle Brian from the Bendigo Aboriginal Group, who came out and looked at the site and told us various things about what went on here. He was able to tell us that a number of the scar trees were used for various things, such as canoes, such as carry baskets, and also in a couple of cases they were used to cover mire for people's protection. He also showed us a number of middens that were here at the time, and he estimated that there would have been up to 100 people here at some of the stage during the Aboriginal presence.
Social and community benefits are also an important outcome of Salisbury West's activities, and it's a similar story for many other groups in the North Central region.
It's a wonderful social gathering, and you meet such fantastic people, and it brings communities back together that have been isolated through closures of schools.
A lot of small rural communities have had their fabric sort of torn fairly badly over the years with the rationalisation of farm sizes and less people being available in the area. And we find the Landcare group has been a great social glue that's kept us together as a group. We feel that we're much healthier and richer as a community due to the fact that the Landcare group's here.
By contrast, the Northern United Forestry Group has members dispersed over quite a lot of country, with the pub at Raywood the popular venue for meetings. The main focus of this group is sustainable and profitable farming in the face of climate change. They're keen to research the viability of commercial agroforestry in low rainfall areas. Most members have on-farm plantations for sawlog and firewood production. While some argue that Landcare should be seen as more than just tree planting, for the members of Northern United Forestry Group, the main activity is planting trees. That's along with sharing their knowledge and experience at field days, site visits and through their website. Members have even produced and distributed a DVD. This features the showpiece of this group's work, this 50-hectare demonstration project at Kamaruka, 30 kilometres north of Bendigo. Funded as a biodiversity project by North Central CMA, it's both an investigation and demonstration of the benefits of planting perennial vegetation on severely salt-affected farmland.
Well, this project has astounded us all. It is like when it was established in 04, wasn't it? Something like that. We did have some good follow-up rains, which helped us right through. It is generally amazing, all of us, how good it looks. And to see it today, what is it? Is it only a bit over 2 years, isn't it? To see trees that I'm standing against now this high and have this shelter is just phenomenal. It's exciting. And
you know, a lot of us are on just a huge learning curve here. It's about, I sometimes think it's about 80-degree learning curve, learning about stuff that we all grew up with, to have thousands of sheep on a place, and you get a drought like this and the dust blows and everything, and to see something like this that sheep can run amongst and have shelter, still have feed, is just fantastic.
Another interesting outcome is the flow of knowledge, enthusiasm and experience down the generations. Zoe Toll was inspired by her NUFG father John Toll's passion for agroforestry, and after working in a floristry business in Scotland, Zoe is now planting and harvesting eucalypts for her floristry business.
I thought I'd just put a different spin on it all, and I started researching for a start all these different eucalypts for their floriculture value. So I wanted to plant them so that I could use them for flowers and foliage, so I didn't have to buy them. And they've flowered after, it's nearly about 2.5 years they started flowering, some of the varieties. And I've used Eucalyptus tetragona, which is of high value in the floriculture industry. I've used a lot of that in flower arrangements, which is really fantastic.
Zoe is now secretary of her own local Landcare group at Gunbower, and she's very keen to involve more younger people.
Now that I'm involved in the Landcare group, hopefully we're going to try and get some more people involved, especially young people. Traditionally, the Gunbower Landcare group hasn't really been, there hasn't been a lot of young people there, but yeah, there was half and half young people at this last meeting, so hopefully we'll get a lot more people involved. I'll push them.
With nearly 200 members, the Guilford and Upper Loddon Landcare Group is one of the largest in the region. This group is a very good example of how having an overall plan for landcare action can get the work done.
It gives them direction. If they can sit together once a year and either review an already existing plan or produce a new one of their future activities or things they would like to do in the future, that gives the coordinators such as myself an opportunity to link those wishes in with potential funding rounds, so that as new funds come up and funding opportunities, which is happening all the time, as they come up I can check them off against plans of the groups, and then it's just a matter of contacting them and saying here's something that might fit with what you would like to do. It's also a powerful thing for the group themselves. It keeps them focused.
This is our major works map. That every project that we do is a remnant veg, tree planting, etc., documented on this map, and it's part of our action plan. And the action plan is to link up one of the major projects we've done down here at Franklin Ford, to link up with the Guilford Plateau, where we've put in 25 kilometres of wildlife corridors, or to the landowners' shelter belts. That would be our major aim. But every project that we do is collated on maps like this.
Another interesting lesson from the Guilford and Upper Loddon group is how a community problem can be turned to advantage and new partnerships formed. In 2005, Vic Roads wanted to widen a busy road near Jim Crow Creek, but this involved removing a number of big trees. Locals were up in arms, but it was an opportunity for the Landcare group.
There was a fair bit of opposition to trees being removed on the roadside. They were mature old trees. A lot of discussion went on with community, etc. And I thought of perhaps this work we were doing on the creek here, which was involving the planting about 1,500 trees, that we could, or Vic Roads could use this tree planting we were doing as an offset for the compensate for the trees that we're taking out. And within about a week, they were up here looking at the site and talking about what we were doing and how we were going to go about it. And from there we formed a partnership, and they paid for all costs of site prep, the cost of the materials and the planting, and also donated $2,000 towards willow removal.
So far, this project has seen more than 16 kilometres of fencing and 3 kilometres of willow removal, the successful resolution of a community issue and the involvement of 30 landholders.
Maury, well, he's done a great job, a real great job in getting people to commit themselves to doing it and helping what's going to happen in the future.
Heading north through the catchment, the Mid-Loddon Sub-Catchment Management Group combines 3 landcare groups. The urban Upper Spring Creek Group in an area of rapidly developing population, the rural West Morong Group with mixed large-scale agriculture, and the Ravenswood Valley Group with rural properties pressured by urban sprawl.
As individual landcare groups, it was very difficult for them to, with the ageing population of our farmers, and I think some of them were getting a little bit tired. And by coming together, we were able to share ideas. We've also got a pool of equipment that we share amongst the 3 groups.
And with drought and rising costs of farming, this group has an increasing focus on sustainable farming practices. They are trialling biological inputs to increase the effectiveness of natural fertilisers and using earthworms as indicators of soil health.
Well, landcare is traditionally, of course, planting trees and fencing out waterways, and we've done all that, and we've moved on to erosion and quality water. We now fence out dams and put tanks on them, and removing all the stock from the waterways for water quality in the river. And from there we went on to soil health. And from soil health, of course, we've found that we needed to find out more about insects and worms, and it just builds. It's probably a very holistic landcare group here. We look at the whole picture.
Well, we've always been interested in other methods of farming and minimum tillage and direct drilling, and biological seem to be an interesting way to achieve some of the results, or some other avenue of looking at how we can produce our crops.
Which is another thing we're trying to investigate, whether we can get away from using so many chemicals and fertilisers for the fact that they're just getting so expensive, and the possible environmental impacts of using these things.
One of the things we were trying to look at are basically the difference between the soil organisms in what we call the biological plots and the conventional plots. Hopefully what we can find is whether there's differences in what we call stress levels of the earthworms in the conventional and the biological.
Project funding for Mid-Loddon has come through the National Landcare Program, Enviro Fund and Second Generation Landcare grants. This support helps groups like this continue and expand their efforts to deliver positive on-ground environmental and community outcomes. Mid-Loddon has also managed to receive sponsorship for a direct seeding machine from SPI PowerNet.
Over the time that we've had it, I think we've probably direct seeded in excess of 300 kilometres, and behind us here is an example of our first direct seeding that we did the first year we had the machine, which is I think about 2004. So I think it's of great benefit to the sponsors to see what a positive effect their input dollars can have in our landscape.
Another group that has formed a good working relationship with a sponsor is the Sheepwash Creek Landcare Group near Bendigo. The sponsor is PowerCorps, who had an existing involvement with the local Otis Foundation, a retreat for women with breast cancer.
We became involved with the Otis Foundation quite a number of years ago, and it was through our Bendigo employees. Now, through a health and safety donation, they donated to the Otis Foundation, and it was from the Otis Foundation that we were introduced to the people from the Landcare group at Sheepwash Creek. And so we started working with them and supporting them, and we actually had employees go out on a number of planting days, and we've had that association with the group for a number of years.
The Sheepwash Creek Landcare Group is a good example of a group operating in a more urban area, in this case 15 kilometres from Bendigo. In the region there are many committed landcare groups working in urban and hobby farm areas on both public and private land. In the case of the Sheepwash Creek Group, it was the degraded state of the local Sheepwash Creek that spurred them into action. With the help of second-generation landcare funding, this common purpose has brought together a wide variety of lifestylers and small landholders.
And it's provided a structure for me to rehabilitate the part of the creek that I live along, and and also work with other people and see a big project being done where normally you'd only be doing your own little piece of land. Now you're working with a whole group of people, seeing a larger project being undertaken, so you see a greater, you see the results happening probably over a greater scale than you would if you're just doing your own little piece. It meant meeting people in my community, in my neighbourhood, that I probably wouldn't have met quite as soon, so it gives a real good ripple effect of community spirit.
Landcare relies on an enthusiastic and committed next generation to carry on the good work in the future. So it's exciting that the Sheepwash Creek Landcare Group, like many others, has a close relationship with local schools. In this case, with the children at the St Francis of the Fields Catholic School. The school is situated beside both Sheepwash and Emu Creeks, an ideal place to develop environmental awareness and practice environmental action. With the support of the Landcare Group, the students take part in a very impressive environmental education program.
The main focus, I would say, of the program at this stage is to work with the two surrounding waterways, which is Sheepwash Creek and Emu Creek, and to try and get the students and the school community involved in caring for these waterways and improving their state of health. So that's where the propagation of native seed comes into it. The students collect seed themselves, they propagate the seeds, they grow them on as seedlings, they plant them out around the creek for various reasons, to create habitat, to help with the erosion problems, just to help with the state of the immediate environment and the health of the water inside the creek.
We're cutting off the seeds from the top, and then we're going to put them in the bags and shake them around so all the seeds fall off and go to the bottom. And then we will plant them in the little pots and put them in the hothouse. Then we'll soil them and water them. And then once they're big enough, we'll plant them around the creek and sit out there. And then they'll stop erosion, just bring back more native birds and things.
We've worked with Landcare right from the beginning, and since I've been here the links are really strong. The Landcare Group gets behind us. We've had equipment supplied to us on loan so that we can have 400 or 500 people working on the one day on the one project to get a lot done. And we've had financial assistance through Landcare for quite some time.
Landcare, it's alive and well in north central Victoria. We hope you enjoyed this small snapshot of some of our Landcare Group's objectives, activities and achievements. Here in north central Victoria, we're very proud of our dynamic and high-achieving Landcare scene. We take our hats off to our hard-working, committed Landcare volunteers, and we greatly appreciate the important roles of our investors, our sponsors, our partner agencies, and of course, our committed Landcare support staff. Best of all, like the trees planted in those early days at Winjallok, we're all very much alive and growing.
North Central CMA is incredibly committed to Landcare.
It's all about making the environment better and pooling the resources to carry it out.
I love being in it. That's the first thing I want to declare. It's a fantastic movement to be involved in.
I'm passionate about Landcare.
You know you're doing something useful, which really makes people feel good.
You meet so many people, and the work that you are doing is so important.
People should get involved in Landcare. There's no doubt about that. You know, whether they get involved in the depth of things that we're getting involved in is another thing, but just to be involved in Landcare is pretty well essential, I think.
And the immense pleasure you get from seeing trees grow up and just the changing landscape is fantastic. And seeing bird species come back, native grasses that hadn't been there for years and years and years come back is really satisfying. And that's all part of the Landcare process.
We are Landcare people all, and we rally at the call that the cactus on the hills is going mad. We will stick them all with glee, hoping glyphosate is free, and if not, we all will be extremely sad. Dreadful stuff, this cactus, we say, as we gather here today. Friends afar have heard the call, helping us to make it small, but the problem fills us still with great dismay.